Hola, minasan! Welcome back for another round of One Piece. How y'all doing today? I hope y'all having a good time today. Last time, Luffy and Zolo are fighting, and Zolo got stabbed and pulled off some next level stabby thing move to reduce the injury and the pain that he's experiencing. And the battle is still going on. Oh my gosh, this battle does not want to stop. Oh my gosh, Oda, what are you doing? It's starting to reach Dragon Ball Z levels of endless fighting here. But the fighting has been pretty good so far. Zolo's fight. So we're gonna find out what more is gonna happen. So, without any hesitation, let's not waste time and let us get started. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda, Chapter 17, High Level, Low Level. Solo stood with his swords drawn, all three, blood dripping off the edge of the blade. He stared out at his opponent, who he too held his blade outward, while everyone watched on, wondering who's going to make the next move. Nami said, "Ugh, I'm feeling faint just watching this." "Get him, Zolo," Luffy said with his fist pumped down, his mouth wide open as though a fly can enter into it at any time. "Yeah."
"I can't lose, not even once,"
Zolo said.
"to anyone who calls himself a swordsman."
Kabachi Kabachi just stared. Then he raised his sword up, with a smile on his face. "So you injured yourself as insurance for your reputation? Well, don't worry," he said, with raising his sword up for pointing his sword at him, at Zolo. "Your wounds are severe. They'll make an excellent excuse when you lose."
"It's the other way around,"
Zolo said.
"If I lose to the likes of you when wounds are only this light."
Zolo stretched his swords outward with the sound of a sheen. He smirked.
"Then I may as well give up my dream too right now."
Kabaji said. Sweat began to drip down his brow. "You scurvy dog." Buggy merely stared, grimacing at what Zolo said. Hmm? Oh. Oh, that's interesting. That caught me off guard there. Hi. Hey. The shack behind the ruins of the tavern. That's where they keep the treasure. Nami said, pointing at the debris of lying across the street. "And Buggy's probably got the map of the Grand Line," she said as she looked over at Buggy with his arms crossed and the Shao etched across behind him. Nami continued, "I'll get the treasure and make escape. I got to do it now while you're all knocked out," she said, looking out at all the pirates laying out across the debris, moaning and groaning in pain, some of them laid out, unconscious. "Whether you guys win or lose this battle," Nami said, walking away, flicking her hand at Luffy, "I don't really care. But if you do get that map for the Buggy," she said, pointing at Luffy, "then and only then will I consider teaming up with you again." And Nami ran off, waving goodbye. "Good luck, boss. See ya." "Wow," Luffy smiled, looking back at her. "Thanks, dude." Rolo no solo," Kabaji said, holding three tops in his hands and his wrist, whirring at high speed. He began riding his unicycle towards him. "Have a taste of the greatest of all my tricks." Solo ellipsed. Solo's response was ellipsed, as was Buggy's. And now the dance of the 100 kamikaze tops. And 100 tops were flicked out by Kabaji, and they all whirled towards Zolo. Zolo was prepared. He pulled his swords back and was ready to block. As the tops continued moving, Kabaji turned left and began riding up the wall. "Circus chick, a hike in the mountains," he said as he sped upwards alongside the glass. Solo began swinging his swords left and right, deflecting every single top that came at him. The pain of his wound ignored, blood no longer gushing out, but he was out of breath. He looked up into the air, and he saw Kabaji flipping right towards him with his unicycle. "Circus trick," he said. "It fireworks in the cool summer breeze." Luffy looked up with his hand on his brow. "Wow, dude, he's way up there." Solo merely watched, waiting to see what he was going to do. And in the air, Kabaji pointed his sword downward like Link in Zelda, in The Legend of Zelda. "Sting of the unicycle," he yelled out, and began diving downward, free falling with no problem. Buggy lipsied, and then he immediately said, "Swap!" "Low-lying chop chop cannon!" Buggy fired his hand out at Zolo as Kabaji headed downward towards Zolo. He was surrounded. He didn't unsure of which move to make. "Kabaji!" Buggy said. "I'll hold Zolo down. You finish him off." "With pleasure," Kabaji said.
Fine.
Zolo said, and the hand whooshed towards him when suddenly a loud stomp occurred. And it was Luffy's foot pressing down onto the hand hard with a total hero pose. Arms flexed out, legs stretched outward, and Buggy screamed, "Ugh!" He held his arm up, the pain grappling his mind.
"No fair."
Zolo said, as Luffy stood before Buggy, staring him down and keeping the hand held in place. "Keep your mitts out of Zolo's duel," Luffy said, with the sound of doom kicking in. "You little," Buggy replied.
Huh.
Zolo said. "I don't need the captain to lend me a hand to kill you," Kabaji said, slowly falling down, despite everything happening all at once. Solo dodged, sliding along the ground. Kabaji struck the ground, missing him. Kabaji looked back with a smile. Blood began seeping out again. Solo's heart beating like a drum. Solo said, trying to get all of his breath back.
"I've had enough."
Solo said, on his knees, hands and swords on the ground, and his two swords on the ground.
"I'm tired."
His statement caught Kabaji's attention. "You're tired," he said. "What's wrong? Anemic?" He slid his hand over his hair and rested his sword on his shoulder. "So you finally given up? Well, I'm not surprised. It's amazing you still stand in your condition." And suddenly, Zolo kicked him off the unicycle. He fell down. Kabaji fell down onto his face, and he looked back up. He said. "You've got it wrong. What I'm tired of," Zolo said, standing towering over him, his veins bulging out from resisting the pain, "are your stupid circus tricks." Very well. No more tricks. I'll finish you now." Kabaji got up and pulled back his sword, ready to swing. With my real swordsmanship, he yelled out. Luffy stared, Buggy stared, and Zolo put his sword back into his mouth and stretched and prepared his other two blades in his hands.
One. Gary.
He slid right past him with a slice. Kabaji launched up into the air. His blood splurted out of from the wounds made by Zolo. He barely even screamed. Kabaji! Buggy screamed. Luffy merely smiled as Kabaji's blood splurted from out of his body. How could these common thieves have beaten us? They're the Buggy Pirate Gang, the scourge of the seas. How could things have gone this far? And Kabaji collapsed onto the ground. Solo looked back and tipped his hat. We're not common thieves, he said. We're pirates. Ugh. And Zolo collapsed onto the ground, bandana in hand. His swords flopped all over the place. Luffy, he huffed and puffed, taking a long, deep breath. I'm going to sleep now. Go ahead, dude, and sleep. Luffy said, grabbing, flexing his muscle and resting his hand on the bulge. I'll take it from here, dude. You guys, Buggy said with his teeth gritted. Call yourselves pirates? That's right, dude, Luffy replied. Now, hand over the map of the Grand Line, or I'm gonna slap you around. So that's what you're after. Well, Buggy said. A couple of lily-livered, no-name pirates like you won't last a day in the Grand Line. And you think you do? Yes. What do you plan to do there? Go sightseeing? Nah, dude, Luffy said. I'm gonna be king of the pirates. Huh? Buggy tilted his head completely, the sound of a crack of his neck. Don't be a fool, he yelled. If you're king of the pirates, then what am I? God of the pirates? The world's treasure will be mine, so forget it. Okay, dude. Luffy stretched his arm back, his fingers creating a grip. Hurry up and attack me. I'm getting bored listening to you. You will regret that. You will regret your words, rubber boy. Knives sprung out of his fingers, each of them held within his hand. You and your straw hat remind me of him when he was younger, Buggy said. That insolent dog with the red hair. To which Luffy replied, red hair. To be continued. One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. Chapter 18. The Pirate Buggy the Clown. Kabaji laid on the ground unconscious. Solo laid on the ground asleep. Moji laid on the ground with blood pouring out of his nose. And the old man, the mayor himself, laid out from Luffy's strike. And there they were, all alone now, Buggy and Luffy, staring each other down in the middle of the street. Buggy with knives in hand, held by his fingers. Luffy with his fist held back, ready to make his first strike. Luffy spoke. Red hair. You talking about Shanks, dude? You know Shanks? Buggy replied. You seem real interested. Yes, I know him. What's it to you? Well, where is he now? Luffy said. So you want to know where he is, eh? Well, maybe I know. Then again, maybe I don't. Eh? What are you talking about? Are you an idiot, dude? Watch your tongue, boy. Buggy yelled out. He held his knives up, ready to fight. "We're mortal enemies," he said. "You won't get any information from me without a fight, not even as a departing gift to hell." "Well, dude, I'm willing to beat it out of you," Luffy said with a big smile on his face. Buggy laughed. "You'll be dead before you get one word out of me." He began walking towards Luffy, and the sound of two shanks echoed at the battlefield. Knives protrude out of his boots. "Not even rubber can withstand a razor-sharp blade." "Maybe so, dude." Gulp. Luffy realized what was about to happen, and Buggy leaned back, arms pulled, arms with the swords pulled back, his foot lifted up into the air. "Chop chop, buzzsaw!" And he flicked the knives out with his body. Oh, I didn't even realize that. He flicked half his body. Buggy flicked half his body, spinning like a buzzsaw, towards Luffy. Luffy noticed what was happening, and he goes, "Sprawling, dude," and jumped right over the whole entire thing. "Let's see you dodge these," Buggy said, lifting the knives up to his face. And he threw each one at him. "In midair," he said. And as Luffy floated in midair, waiting to land, the knives came right at him. "No problem, dude." Luffy stretched his arm out and grabbed a pole. He immediately pulled himself away, and the knives flew past him. "Whoop, dude." Buggy smiled and went, "Ha! Not bad. This is getting interesting." "Sure is, dude." Luffy landed and pulled his arm back. "Gum gum." Just as Buggy's lower half of his body returned and connected with him, Luffy threw his fist out and yelled, "Pistol!" Buggy dodged easily, and his fist flew past his face. He saw how far it got and looked at the fist at the other side. "Interesting. You've got power there. A little bit too stretchy for my taste. But your outstretched arm makes a delicious target." Buggy pulled out another knife and ready to swing. However, Luffy's hand gripped onto the windowsill. "I'll just sever it," Buggy said, swinging his knife down. Unaware of what Luffy just said. "Gum gum." Buggy looked in his direction. "Huh? Chop chop! Quick dodge!" Luffy screamed out, "Sicko!" And just as his right arm swung at Buggy's head popped off and flew off. Buggy laughed as Luffy flew past him and crashed into the building behind him. Buggy laughed, and as his head reattached, he looked back and said, "You underestimate me, gummy boy. Or should I say, gummy bear? I would like to have a gummy bear." Luffy laid out in the debris. He pulled himself up, holding his hat, his face looking like a Muppet. And he goes, dude. Darn. He stood back up, pat the dust off his pants, planted his hat back on his head. "How am I supposed to whack you when you keep flying to pieces?" In the distance, Nami watched on, keeping herself safe behind the building. "Ah, what a fight! It's like I'm seeing things." The pirate crew finally woke up and watched on. You see that? Quiet fool. We're supposed to be unconscious. Go back to sleep. If we get mixed up in this fight, we're mincemeat. Chop chop! Harpoon! Buggy said as he shot his arm out, holding 4 knives between his fingers at Luffy. With the sound of a whoosh, Luffy braced himself, and with both hands, he grabbed he grabbed Buggy's wrist, flying wrist, and leaned his head back as the points of the knives stared at him. Dude. Separate! Buggy yelled out, and his wrist his wrist separated from the forearm and sliced Buggy in the face. Dude. And Luffy fell on his back hard. He got back up with no he sat back up with no problem. And Buggy, wondering what's going on, he ellipsed. There was Luffy just sitting down, taking a couple of deep breaths, his hat staring at his hat. His eyes turned over to Buggy. Darn you, dude. What's the matter? Buggy said. Baby got a boo-boo. That does it, dude. Luffy's anger, he tightened his grip on his hat. You nicked my hat, dude. That's total disrespect. So, this is my treasure, dude. Nobody damages the treasure. Nami said, and remembered in the flashback of what Luffy said. My friend gave me this hat a long time ago. He's a total awesome dude. To which then Nami thought, I thought nothing fazed this guy, but he looks pretty mad. Hey? The Buggy ellipsed. It's that important to you, eh? That's right, dude. Total disrespect. Now I'm gonna disrespect you. It's like teabagging. Slashing my head is like teabagging. I'm gonna teabag you. Meanwhile, unaware of what was going on behind him, Buggy's hand floated back up holding the knives. And suddenly, it flicked one. Right at Luffy. Luffy looked back with pure anger, and he dodged. Yow, dude. And just as he began to fall over, his hat was in direct line of the Buggy's knives. The opening was there. And Buggy screamed out, You should have taken better care of it. And the knives pierced the hat and flew away. Luffy's eyes became shocked as he fell over. He reached his hand reaching out for the hat, hoping to grab it back. And he gets hit with a flashback. Oh wow, I didn't give a name for. Right, that was chapter 1. Sorry about that. I don't have Shank's thing here. Alright, I'll just do a normal voice then. It's Shanks. Let me be cool with Shanks and give him a normal face. Do me a favor. Keep this hat safe for me. And as Luffy snapped out of his flashback, he heard the laughter of Buggy. You call this beat up old thing your treasure? Luffy's face, lips widen, his teeth clenching tight. The sound of a grr flected off the bottom of his throat. Nami ellipsed as she watched on. The crew, unsure of what was going on, just held on. Were in total shock. And Buggy continued on, laughing and laughing. This hat means a lot to me, Luffy. Promise me that you'll give it back someday when you become a great pirate. And Luffy charged right at him, pure rage, without any thought. Dude, I promise to return that hat to Shanks, man. What? This is Shanks' hat? Buggy said, slamming it down into the ground. I thought it looked familiar. Shanks and I worked on the same pirate ship a long time ago. He sucked. And we were both young. Tues! Buggy spit landed on Shanks' hat. Apprentice pirates, you might say. Luffy's charge continues on as he cocked back his fist and yelled out, Shanks man is a great man, dude. Apprentice pirates, together, huh? What a lie. Oh, chop chop, quick escape, spoink. Don't put yourself on the same level as him, dude. Luffy shoulder rushed, slammed his shoulder into Buggy's body. Buggy immediately, eyes bulged out from the pain that he felt. His head started flying over as he ellipsed in shock. To be continued. One Piece, Chapter 18. This was a great fight here. Great finish with Zolo and Kabaji. It ended in a draw. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, just look at this. Just look at the detail of the blood on Zolo's left leg there. Yeah, the fights were very straightforward. That kind of threw me off this page here. I was expecting more panels. That was page 176. Yeah, page 176. I was expecting more panels, not Luffy smiling, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool art. But yeah, Nami hit away. Smart. She recognized what the fight is, and Buggy's crew laid out. But nevertheless, this was actually a very well oriented fight here. It was very quick. This final finish here. It didn't take too long with Zolo, doing all of his blocks and everything. But yeah, Kabaji got taken out, as did Solo in the end with an onigiri. I like the very, very, very cool. Right here, the whole entire slash. The good use of a full page spread there, emphasizing just how powerful this attack is. And then, of course, Solo took the fall, so it kind of ended in a draw, basically. But Solo did his job, which is pretty cool. So Kabaji got knocked out for good. Goodbye, Kabaji. Which then leaves us with Luffy and Buggy, which continued on over in chapter 18. Over to chapter 18. Which is a very good fight here. This is the first time now we're seeing what the devil fruits, what two characters with devil fruits would look like, and it's very well done. Their strategies and everything was was very distinct. That threw me off guard. I thought Buggy was going to flick his hands, but it was actually half of his body that was doing the buzzsaw, his chop buzzsaw. Would have liked to have seen that in the live action, quite honestly. That would have been interesting to see his fight against Luffy. But yeah, Luffy sprang, literally used his rubber power to spring over it, so it was a good dodge maneuver. Very resourceful stuff. Very resourceful, great use of the environment, where Luffy grabbed the pole and pulled himself away. You can see that Buggy truly is a skilled fighter too, because he was able to dodge the obvious. But again, Luffy continues to be more resourceful, using the buildings to his advantage to stretch out, while Buggy took advantage of being able to separate his body to ensure that he can pull off all these dodges. I love that Muppet face. He really looks like a Muppet. Where it says "oomph" on page 16 there. I can't. I don't know what Muppet it is, but he looks like a Muppet, which is hilarious. But then, yeah, we actually see just how important this hat is to Luffy. He really sees it as a treasure, a very important treasure, because of what Shanks meant to him. as we saw in the first chapters. So finding out, shockingly enough, and this wasn't even in the live action, so which wasn't in the live action. That is that Luffy and Shanks were pirate apprentices. They were crewmates on another pirate ship, and whatever happened between the two of them, happened. Well, it really made enemies out of them, and by extension made Luffy, an enemy. And seeing the hat get wrecked. Oof, man. We get to see Luffy unravel, much like the mayor. I guess which now makes perfect sense, because the mayor going into an uncontrollable rage because of what he lost Precious, got expanded to Luffy and his hat. Now Luffy's in an uncontrollable rage, and well, he's kind of doing a foolish thing by charging outward, much like how Boodle was doing. Mayor Boodle was doing the same thing, which he shouldn't be doing, charging head first. But somehow he got the ultimate hit, I guess. Whatever this hit is. I'm trying to see where the leg is at. I don't know. It looks like he got his leg off. He was able to swing his leg from it looks like. It's very difficult to tell. So not good on the panel there. But very cartoonish. Very cool cartoonish seeing Buggy like that. So it's very interesting how that laid out the foundations, and most importantly why Luffy values why he respects the like Chow Chow's love for the pet shop, and then the mayor with the house. So there's a theme that just basically follow through with each other, and that's actually pretty good. I guess that's fine, because I was kind of like wondering, why we got Chow Chow, and then we later the mayor, and watching them go into fits of rage over their personal property. I thought they were pretty much filler, but now they actually have a purpose, because we see here that Luffy has certain things that he cares about. Say not one thing he cares about, something that he treasures, much like how Chow Chow treasured the pet shop and the mayor treasured the town. So it kind of all lines up nicely and really fits into the theme, I guess the thematics of this arc, and allowing us to see the characterization of what Luffy sees in people, especially those who have dreams and such. So yeah, overall, hmm. Sorry, I was thrown off by Food War Shokugeki no Sanji. Is that a Sanji crossover from One Piece? Nevertheless. Yeah, that kind of threw me off. So yeah, great action, fast pace, straight to the point. It didn't stretch out. I'm glad that that finally got to this point. But now I understand why the mayor and Chocho was given emphasis, because now we see Luffy having the same effect that the two of them had, and so it makes perfect sense. And it's not really that much of a waste, but on the initial outset you wouldn't even know it. So there we go. All right, so that was One Piece, everybody. Yeah, make sure to swing over to the Patreon if you're interested. Got a poll still up. If you wanna get a shout out, if you're interested in shout outs, as well as joining the poll for the next manga to read. So be sure to comment, like, subscribe, follow. You want to. And with that said, I wish you all a good night, buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.